Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Let me move the camera a little bit closer to me so I can put you on the very edge of the table. It is currently 4:37 p.m. and I've just been sitting out on the front porch. It's very nice today. It's like 80 something, I don't know. And talking to my neighbors. My neighbors across the street came over and talked to me, and I've just been relaxing. I woke up, I did not feel great today when I woke up. In fact, I had kind of thought maybe I wouldn't film any videos, including my vlog. But sitting out here and I was drinking this liquid death water, I started feeling a little bit better, and so I was like, well, I can at least vlog. So I wanted to make sure I at least got my vlog up. But I think as far as my other channels today and tomorrow, I'm not going to film on that. And then I will come back to doing drama videos and my Peterisms videos and Peter Does Stuff videos and stuff like that on Monday. So that's kind of my plan right now. And then just to relax this weekend, I think Alex and I are going to watch, well, he didn't get home until later last night because he went to dinner with a girlfriend of his, and then they went back to her apartment. We're just kind of hanging out with another friend, and so he got home not super late, but I think like 11 or something like that. And he was like really tired from like working all day, and then after work he went to like this get together for like a girl that was leaving his office, like changing jobs, and then from there he met his friend for dinner, and then they went to her apartment. So by the time he got home, he was like super tired, and he had to get up today because he was doing that IV therapy, which is interesting because Valerie reached out to me and she was like, did you go to IV therapy with Alex today? And I hadn't even, well, I probably need to talk to my doctors first about if I can do that, but Alex like swears by that IV therapy. He gets like the hydrating one. I think would probably be good for me to do one of those. I don't really know much about it, but I kind of like to try it, so I need to talk to my doctors. I'm sure it's probably pretty safe to see if I can do it. But anyway, yeah, I woke up today and I did not feel great. My stomach just continues to feel sick, and now I'm really hungry, and I'm trying to think of something bland that I can have for dinner. But I slept pretty good last night, so that was good. I stayed up. Well, it was interesting because I got like really, well, last night I wanted to watch RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars, but Alex got home too late, so we're gonna watch that tonight. But last night I started getting tired. Like after he got home, I went upstairs and like I hung out in bed with he and Boo Radley, and then he like went to bed real quick. So I came downstairs and I wanted to catch up watching The Last Thing He Told Me on Apple TV. Fantastic. It's so good. I loved the book. The TV show is fantastic. And then I also wanted to watch Yellow Jackets. And then I thought, if I am still not tired, then I will watch Love and Death on HBO Max, which is the Candy Montgomery story. But I like watched the first episode and I just really wasn't that into it. So I was really tired. I was like just thinking about just like going to bed, but I came out here and I like pushed myself through watching The Last Thing He Told Me. And I wish I would have just got some iced coffee. I didn't even think of that. But I had an iced coffee last night. Well, after I had the iced coffee, I was kind of awake a little bit. It didn't keep me, actually. I thought it would keep me like up, you know, like not being able to fall asleep last night, but I fell asleep like super quick when I laid down last night. So I watched The Last Thing He Told Me, which was fantastic. I wish they would just release the whole season because it's so good and I want to watch what's happening, or I want to know what's happening. And then I watched Yellow Jackets, which is just okay. I really love the storyline and I love all the actresses that are in it. I'm just kind of bored with it this season. I don't, like Mel and I were talking about it yesterday. There's just not a lot that's like happening this season, and they keep on acting like all of this. If you don't know the story, it's about a story about a soccer team, a girls soccer team that was flying to nationals in I think 1999, and their plane crashed like in the woods, like deep in the woods. You don't even really know where it's at. It kind of looks like Canada, but you don't really know. And so it's about like 10 of them, 15 of them are trying to survive. Well, apparently they like brought back something like really dark with them, and they like did all this horrible stuff while they were out there, which at this point, at a season and a half, they've only kind of done like one really horrible thing. And so, but they keep on alluding to all this like dark stuff that happened out there. And so it kind of plays out in the present day, and then you have to like figure it out. Juliette Lewis is in it, which I love. Melanie Linsky's in it, which I love, and Christina Ricci is fantastic. She's probably she's like the character you love to hate. Like, she's like not a very likable character, but she's so good. And I'm a huge Christina Ricci fan, and she's really, really good in the part that she plays. She plays this girl named Misty that's kind of like the oddball, the loner that like not really a lot of people like. And then she's like this true crime citizen detective, like in the, like as it gets like in today's time. But yeah, it's a good, the premise is good. It's just like each episode you think you're gonna find out something, and then you don't really find out anything, you know. So I finished those two, and then I was sitting out here, and my neighbor next door, she could hear me out here, I think. And so she texted me, and she was like, hey, she was like, do you care if I come over and sit and talk to you for a little bit? And I was like, no, not at all. And so, because she had like walked by, she's been walking every day, and I've been talking to her about I want to walk with her. She did the mini marathon in Indianapolis. The mini marathon is kind of like what starts race month, and it's actually the morning of Rev that we went to, and it's 13 miles, and people walk it. She like walked most of it, but ran some of the way. She and her mom have been training since January. So she and I were talking about it, and she had come over here like a couple days ago, and we talked. So anyway, she came over here last night, and we sat and we talked for like probably 45 minutes just about, you know, all kinds of stuff, just caught up. And but then I was like wide awake because I had drank the coffee and we had talked, and I was just kind of like alert, you know. So I actually need to water these plants today. They're doing really well, but I need to hook up my hose. This is the next thing I need to do. So when she left, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try to get back into this Love and Death, the Candy Montgomery story. So I started watching it, and I started on episode 2, and I actually watched all, I think there were 4 episodes that were out, and I think the 5th episode just came out on Thursday. So I watched all the 4 episodes that were out, and I have the 5th one to watch. And I have to tell you, like, it's really good. Like, I don't know, I think maybe in the first episode I was comparing it too much to the Candy show, which, with Jessica Biel, they're the exact same stories, but the way that they're told are completely different. And Elizabeth Olsen, who I guess is the Olsen twins' younger sister, she plays Candy Montgomery in the Love and Death one. It's really good, though. Like, I'm, like, completely, like, into it now. Like, I kept on saying, okay, I'm going to go to bed when this episode's over, then I would watch the next episode, and I'd be like, okay, I just want to find out what happens in the first 5 minutes, and I would watch the next episode, you know, so it's really good. So yeah, and then I went to bed after I watched those 3 episodes, so I don't know, I went to bed pretty late last night, but got a good night's sleep, and me and Mr. Boo Radley slept in, and I feel good today, except for my stomach. It's just like my stomach, I just feel like nauseous. And on Monday, I'm gonna call my sponsor recommended me getting an internal medicine specialist to kind of like see everything that's going over. So she's gonna help me find somebody, but I'm also gonna call my primary care physician to see if they can switch me to another anti-nausea medication because his Zofran is not working. I'm going to ask you guys a favor, okay? And I really hope that you understand where I'm coming from with this, because I really do appreciate all the comments. And like I said in my video the other day, I know that all of the comments come from like a really, really compassionate place, a really caring place. Like, I know, like, when you're giving me suggestions or you're giving me advice, like you really mean it, like you care about me, and you are, I know that, like, I get it, right? And I can also tell by the tone of the comments and things like that. The problem is, when you read them down, it's extremely overwhelming, okay? And if you want to just know what it's like for me, take a pad of paper out, and every comment that just read them straight down, and every comment that has a medical suggestion, write down on a notepad, okay? And then imagine scheduling a doctor's appointment and taking that to the doctor and saying, well, I need to have this scan done. I need to have these blood tests done. It could be celiac disease. It could be this. It could be that. It's really overwhelming, you guys, when I'm just trying to, and it gets my mind going in a million different places, because then I'm like, oh, well, is it this, and is it that, and is it this? And when I'm already trying to just do what the doctors are telling me to do, it's really tough for me to like read a lot of those comments. So I appreciate it, and I know that you guys are just trying to help me, and you're like, well, maybe Peter doesn't know this, or maybe Peter doesn't know that, but the reality is I've had like every scan and every test done at this point. I mean, it was like every day that I was in the hospital, they were doing scans and tests and blood work. So I'm not like in an urgency to go and get a bunch more tests done and a bunch more blood work done and all that kind of stuff. And I also don't want to be going to the doctor once a week and being like, could it be this, and guesswork and whatever. So, and you know, like anytime I talk about like dieting or health or whatever, like there's kind of like this joke that people say, and it's like everybody on YouTube is either a doctor or a dietitian. And, I know that it comes from a really good place, okay? Because people always share stories. They're like, well, my, you know, so-and-so went through this, and this is what happened, whatever, you know? And like, and I have to tell you, like, a lot of the comments are really helpful to me when it'll be like, somebody will say, well, you know, like, so-and-so went through this, and it took like 5 years to figure out what it was, and blah, 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 and you just have to be patient. Like, those comments are really helpful to me. But when it's like one comment, and I don't want to call anybody out because all of them were said in such kind, caring, compassionate ways, but when each comment, it's like one comment is like, and I'm just going to make some stuff up so nobody thinks I'm talking about them, but when one comment says something about like, well, maybe it's because of, you know, your blood work came back abnormal, I'm making that up, right? And then the next comment is, have you ever thought that maybe, you know, it's da-da-da-da-da-da, whatever. Like, like in my head, I'm like, well, could it be that? Well, could it be this? And at first, I started like jotting stuff down in my notes on my phone to take to the doctor. And I thought, I have like 15 or 20 things on here to ask them that it's like, okay, from like type 1, 2 diabetes all the way to celiac disease to should I still be a vegetarian, which I have asked all the doctors, and none of the doctors have said that there's any issue with me being a vegetarian. Like, they've said that that's not any issue with this whatsoever. To tests and scans that I should get, to on and on and on. And like I said this the other day, like there becomes a point when you are just so tired going through this, and I'm like, I'm really tired, you guys. Like, and I don't mean like just physically tired. Like I kind of broke down to Alex last night a little bit. I mean, I'm like, nothing sounds good. I can't really eat anything. I know I need to get back to the doctor because I've got to figure out like what's going on with me being nauseous. But other than that, like, I'm just exhausted from this whole thing. Like, I don't like being sick. I know a lot of people don't like being sick. I'm not a good sick person. And so I am looking for solutions, but at some point I had to kind of just resign myself to the fact that I was just going to listen to what the doctors told me. So I guess what I'm asking of you is, unless you feel really compelled because you think that what you're sharing with me is going to really hugely make a difference, could you kind of maybe just keep it to yourself a little bit, because like it's really overwhelming me a lot, and I'm trying to ask this from like a really nice point of view. Like, it's just a lot, and if you go through my comments, you'll know exactly what I'm saying. Like, it's literally like every other comment, people are giving me advice, and all the advice is completely, it contradicts each other. So it's like, or it's, you know, a completely different kind of helping situation. I mean, it's not like, if every comment on there said something like, you know, you need to be checked for diabetes, like, then I would be like, oh, I probably need to be checked for diabetes, which I already have been, okay? So, like, we can rule that out. I've had the scans of my liver and my gallbladder. I've had all those scans done. I've had the blood work. I've had all of it done, right? So, if it was like one consistent thing, like, that would probably be helpful. But I mean, it's literally, you guys, like 20, 25 different things that people are saying. And so it's real overwhelming to me, because then I'm like, well, I don't know what to think about this. Is it this? Could it be this? Could it be that? You know, whatever. And so, like, I'm just trying to take it all in, and I'm trying to do the best I can. And I hope that you know that, like, really appreciate the comments. Like, I know that they come from a good place, and I know that you guys are just caring about me and you want me to be as healthy as possible, and trust me, I want the same things, and so that's where the comments are coming from. I totally understand that, but just understand that from my point of view when I'm reading the comments, and maybe the only other option that I have is to not read the comments for a while. I don't know, but for me, it becomes a little overwhelming, and so I'm just asking you guys if you could maybe like, just like, you know, pull back just a little bit. I would really appreciate it, at least for a while. I mean, I've always gotten a lot of suggestions on my vlog, and I appreciate it, but at the same time, it's a lot, you know. It's because then I start second guessing like everything the doctors are doing, and then I start not trusting the doctors because I'm like, okay, well, this person went through this person went through that, this is what it was for this person, so is this what it is for me? And then I start second guessing it, and then I start spiraling in my head, and then I want to like talk to the doctors, and if you know, you don't ever get a doctor on the phone, which means you have to schedule an appointment. If you're lucky, it's going to be 3 weeks out, right? So then I'm just sitting here with all of this stuff in my head. So anyway, I just wanted to say that because, and maybe it's my fault for talking about all the medical stuff, but, you know, I mean, this is my vlog, and this is my life, and this is what I'm going to talk about on here, but, and the other thing is this, is that really there's only two things going on right now. It's being completely lethargic, which is directly related to the Keppra. Like, we know that. Like, the doctors have told me that. And I've actually had a lot of comments where people have said, Keppra makes you really, really tired. Or, like, I was on it, or my husband was on it, whatever. So, like, that has been validating to me, and I do appreciate those comments. The other thing is the nausea. That's really the only other thing. Like, I'm not having a lot of pain. I had some pain in my back the other day, but other than that, like, I'm not, like, I don't feel too bad. It's just the nausea, which I have to figure out, you know, so, but, you know, interestingly enough, this is the other thing where I think people think that things they've heard are facts. Like, I've gotten quite a few comments from people that are like, well, pancreatitis goes away in 4 to 5 days, so you shouldn't be having any symptoms at all, which both when I went to my GI specialist and my neurologist, both told me that pancreatitis can have lingering effects for weeks, if not months. And I've also got comments from people that have said, oh, like, you know, my husband had it or my son had it, and it went on for months until it finally slowed down and whatever. So there's no rhyme or reason to why it's lasting this long, you know, and it could be something that is just like, my neurologist was like, I think this is just lingering effects from the pancreatitis. And I don't know, and that's where I just kind of have to, like, you know, but, like, it's not completely incapacitating. Like, I'm able to get up and go do things. I'm just tired a lot, you know, so I don't know. And I think once the medicine regulates itself, like the Keppra, I think I'll be much better. And so for that piece, I actually have, like, kind of, you know, end in sight for it. And it's just the nausea, because the problem is I'm just like, nothing sounds good to me. Like, I'm not hungry for anything whatsoever. And I just can't continue to go on that way, you know? I will say what I think is kind of funny is that a lot of people are talking about how I'm losing weight too fast and that I don't look good. Like, people are like, oh, your eyes don't look healthy and you don't look good and you don't look healthy and you're losing weight too fast. When, like, for years I got all these comments about how heavy I was and how out of shape I was. And, you know, people would throw up screenshots of me with my gut hanging out in the kitchen on Twitter. And, you know, so it's kind of like, can't please everybody, I guess, you know, but, like, now I lost, you know, a pound. I've lost, like, in the last couple days, like, another 2.5, 3 pounds. And no, I'm not happy about losing weight that fast. But that will also, I mean, I think, you know, plateau out at some point where I'm not losing weight anymore. And I get back to, like, eating regularly how I can. And I'm just going to have to figure out, like, what I can eat. I was talking to my sponsor yesterday on the phone, and she's dealt with a lot of people that have had pancreatitis. And she said, you know, you really, and a lot of people have recommended this to me as well, in the vlog comments and stuff, but she said you really need to be eating, like, a clean diet, organic food, like fruits and vegetables if you can. And I was like, well, I can't eat a lot of roughage, like, that's what goes through me. And she was like, well, just, you know, like, things that you would, like, cook at home. A lot of people are recommending eggs to me because I can eat omelets at Patashu, and, like, that doesn't, like, bother me, like, I can keep it down. So I don't know, that might be something that I have to like start cooking omelets at home and figuring out how to make omelets at home. But definitely I can't do processed food anymore. Somebody put a real mean comment up in my vlog. I was talking about losing weight or hoping that I keep the weight off. And they put the comment up and they said, oh, you'll gain it back, don't worry. And I was like, why would you put that on somebody? Like, that's a rude comment. Why would you say that? That's mean. But I didn't block them. I didn't block them, see? Because I'm patient like that. So anyway, my neighbor's across the street. She's examining her garden. Do you hear all the birds? Aren't they so pretty? She's like bent over right now looking at something. When she stands up, I'll shout at her. What are you doing over there?
What do you think I'm doing?
Gardening?
That's right. What are you doing?
Filming a video?
Doing a video?
You want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody.
That's for the people that say, you talk about your neighbors and they don't even know that you're talking about them. They all know that I'm talking about them. I'm telling them about your garden.
Oh, well.
They all think, a lot of people think that my neighbors don't know that I talk about them in my videos. She said, I know you do. What are you having for dinner tonight?
Oh, just some fresh greens and some chicken salad.
Fresh greens and chicken salad. That sounds good.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in 7 days.
Well, you've been mean. You've been keeping your distance from me.
Well, we went to Centerville.
Hold on just a second. Okay, she came across the street to talk to me for a little bit. So it's kind of a funny story. She and Tanya and Tanya's husband are all from the same city, like small town in Indiana, which is so crazy. And like one day I was talking to her and I said something to her about like, where did you grow up in Indianapolis? And she's like, no, I grew up in such and such place. And I said, oh my God, that's so bizarre. My best friend grew up there as well. And she was like, who's your best friend? And I said, Tanya, with her maiden name. And she goes, no, I don't know anybody with that maiden name. And I said, well, I wonder if you knew, like if you would know her husband, because he has like 5 brothers and 1 sister and they all grew up there. And so I told her Eric's last name and she was like, oh, I know all of them. Like they were wild and they were trouble and stuff like that. So anyway, she was telling me a little bit of gossip about the small town to pass on to Tanya. So she was telling me that, and then we were talking about, she was telling me that she retired at 59 and where she was working, and she was telling me all about that. So I love my neighbors. I love them so much. Like I feel so blessed to have the neighbors that I do. I mean, they're so friendly. I mean, for her just to like pop over, you know, I think, I did say that, didn't I? That she just popped over here last night just to like, you know, hang out and talk. And, you know, my neighbor over there yesterday, she came over here and sat down and talked. They came over here today and were like talking to me about, well, they had this concert last night. So my neighbor to the right, she is in charge of the like recreation for the neighborhood. And so once a month they have this mocktails and cocktails thing where like you bring your own mocktails or cocktails. And it's supposed to be at the pool, but the pool's not open yet. So they just have it in the cul-de-sac because there's like a cul-de-sac around by the pool. I think I've shown you that in videos before. But anyway, so they had a concert with like this little group that's like small little grassroots band here in town or whatever. So my neighbor's across, and she was like, please come, because I don't think a lot of people are going to come. And it was like $20 a couple, and I was getting ready to lay down and take a nap because I was so tired. And I said, I'm really tired, like I need to take a nap, or I would come up there and whatever. I didn't even know that it cost $20 at that point, which I would have, you know, paid. The $20 went directly to the band because they come out here, you know. And so anyway, so my neighbors across the street, they came over and they said something like, oh, well, we heard that you were going to stop by last night. And I said, no, I never said that. I said I was going to take a nap. And they were laughing and they were like, we knew that you weren't going to come. And I said, well, I will. Like one of these times I will come. Like you know, because like, so she's also putting together water aerobics. She's going to have a water aerobics instructor come out here 2 days a week, like at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then we would each pay her like $5 to like do the instructions, and it's going to be like 5 or 10 people that are going to do it, and I'm totally down for that. Like, I need to be getting active anyway, and it also is a good way for me to continue to like meet and interact with my neighbors, which is like really like, my neighbors have made such a huge difference just in my, I think, like just my daily mood and positivity around here. So anyway, so I'm excited about that. So and then my neighbor across the street and my neighbor next door, they walk like pretty extensively. So I've talked to them about starting to walk with them, which I'm going to do. But anyway, so she and her husband came across the street and they're like, well, you really missed it. And I was like, what? And she was like, well, we wanted to tell you. It was like, she was like, the average age was like 80. And she was like, and it was like all of like the oldest people from the neighborhood. And he was like, yeah, we really like felt like we were like at a retirement home, and some like band came in just for like, you know, like when they have like people come and visit the retirement home or something like that. And I was like, oh, I'm glad I don't know, like, but anyway, it's kind of sad because there's a lot of people in here that are like 80 to 90 up, and not my like immediate neighbors. They're not, like, I think they're like in their early 60s. They're a little bit older. She's gonna be 30, and then us. So that's like our, so, but this is kind of a lot of people's like last home. And I mean, you know it, like when I move in here. And so there's a lot of people that like pass in here and die. One of my neighbors down the street, who's a really nice guy, he just passed away like 3 days ago. He had been really, really sick for a long time, and his wife died like 2 months before he did. And you see a lot of ambulances and like, you know, fire engines come through here, and like the next thing you know, you hear, I think like in the last month, I've heard of like 3 or 4 people that have passed away in here, which I think that's kind of like a crazy high rate, you know, when you're talking about 60 to 80 condos or something like that. I mean, there's not a lot of condos in here. There are so many cardinals. It is absolutely crazy. I could just, across the street, there's just the brightest red cardinal on this like tree limb. Alex was taking a nap, but I think that he woke up. I think I hear him in the kitchen. Yeah, I do hear him in the kitchen. He'll probably come out here and bring Boo Radley out in just a second. So it's kind of sad. Oh no, he took him out back. So you don't, because a lot of those people like don't really ever like leave their house. Or if they do, like there's a couple of people that like walk on walkers through the neighborhood, but they like walk really slow, and I don't know them real well. Like I'll wave to them or I'll say hi or whatever, but like I don't know them really, really well. But I do know that there's quite a few, probably I would say 10 to 15 people in here, maybe more, that are like elderly and really sick, and they don't like really ever leave their condos and stuff like that. My neighbor next door, she helps where she goes to like the grocery store for people and takes people to appointments and stuff like that. And she's the one that was telling me, she's like, we actually have like in the surrounding neighborhood too, like a really older population that, and I would like, you know, kind of like to get involved and like, you know, help those people out, even if it's just like, you know, visiting them or whatever, you know, and just like popping in and saying hi, and, you know, taking Boo Radley by their house or something like that. I mean, I would love to do that, you know, but it's not like it's not like they have a sign on their house that says, you know, like, so you don't know who they are. But I think the next Mocktails and Cocktails concert I will try to go to, though. They also have like cookouts and stuff like that, so I might try to start doing some of that stuff. I've only enjoyed meeting my neighbors. Like I've only like had such a great time meeting my neighbors at the pool, or, you know, just sitting here on the front porch when people walk by, or my neighbors around here, or like that stuff. that like to get more involved, I think, and I've joked in the past about being like the HOA president or running for the board. Like my neighbor across the street and my neighbor next door are both on the board. I don't want any part of, I mean, after I've heard like the infighting that goes on and people like getting so upset about the littlest things, like I don't want to be on the board. Like I don't need that kind of stress in my life. But I would like to be like more involved. Like there's ways to be involved in the neighborhood without like having to, like you can be on the landscaping committee, like she's on the landscaping committee across the street where they just like go and like they help people like plant flowers and stuff like that. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do where it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be like on the board, but you get to know more people. I was telling somebody this the other day. It was like 2 or 3 years ago, like I made a really concerted effort that I was going to get to know my neighbors more because we didn't know any of our neighbors at that point. You know, like their neighbor to the right that lived in there before they did, like we knew her and we would talk to her. Like Alex still texts her. And because we have a 1-car garage, and so they would go out of town. Their condo that they had here was to visit their grandkids, and so they would go out of town. They would be gone for like a month, and when they were gone, they would let Alex use the garage for his car. And so like we just became really close with them. And then and actually that's the reason they moved in across the street, because on the corner, because she is like best friends with the woman that lived next door to us. And so that's how the condos go in here. Like there's not really ever for sale signs. Like every once in a while there'll be like an open house sign, but like when a condo goes for sale, like somebody tells their friend, and that's how actually my neighbors across the street, they found out too. The one that's the master gardener that's watering her plants right now. I love watching it. It's just so peaceful to me. But they found out from a friend of theirs that this condo was available, and so that, I mean, it like literally like somebody like puts their condo up for sale and it's gone in like 2 days. Like it's maybe not even that short of amount of time, or maybe not even that amount of long time. Like it's shorter than that sometimes. But a couple years ago, like we really didn't know any of our neighbors. Like I'm talking about in the whole neighborhood. You know, like if I went to the pool, like I wouldn't talk to anybody. I just like sit in the pool and like. Or I'd sit on the chair, you know, and listen to my music, but I never interacted with anybody. I never talked to anybody. Now I always go with a neighbor if I go up to the pool, so, or Caroline. But like I never, and it wasn't like I was trying to be rude or trying to be unfriendly. I just, you know, it was partly my social anxiety. Like I really had to like work through that and be like, hey, how are you? And whatever, you know, like, and to put myself out there. And I've only just, like it makes me enjoy the neighborhood so much more, you know, now that I know people and know their dogs and their grandkids and their husbands and their wives, you know, and ask them like, oh, how's so-and-so doing and whatever, you know, and people are so friendly in our neighborhood. I haven't really met anybody, oh, well, I mean, maybe 1 or 2 that's kind of a little off-putting, but I wouldn't say that I think it's more just their personality. I don't think it's because they're like a rude person, but like the majority of the people in the neighborhood are just absolutely so pleasant, you know, and so just really, really nice and friendly. Yeah, and I find it really enjoyable to live here. And plus, it's just such a gorgeous neighborhood. It's like all these mature trees, and they're so pretty, and we have like weeping willows over the lakes and stuff like that, and you see like herons like flying over the lake at night, and there's a lot of wildlife around here. It's a really pretty neighborhood, you know. My cousin always, like, she wants to actually move into, so the condos that when you first come into the neighborhood, if you turn like immediately left, they all back up to woods. And Caroline really wants one of those condos. She'd love to. She's like, I'd love to live in this neighborhood. She was like, with the pool, and it's so, you could just walk around here, and it's so quiet. And plus, she grew up 2 blocks from here. But she's like, I don't want to sell my house yet, and so, but she's like, one went for sale over there, and so she like went in and she like looked at it, I think, and stuff, because she really wanted to see what it was like. But I don't want to be against the woods. The woods that we have are, these like back up like right to the woods. And we have kind of like a little bit of woods behind it, but like, you know, it's just real short. And then there's the ones that are on the lake. I actually would like to be on the lake. I didn't think I used to not think I would want to be on the lake, but I think I would kind of like to be on the lake now. Caroline said she would hate it. She's like, because you can look across the lake and you can see other people's patios and stuff, and she's like, but you would like be exposed to everybody. And I'm like, no, not necessarily. Somebody's grilling out. I can smell it. It smells good. So tonight I think we're gonna watch RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars, which started yesterday. And then I'm gonna watch, I don't know how many episodes of Love and Death I have. I don't know if just one more came out. Hold on, let me look. Yeah, I just have one episode. And then I think, I really want to watch some kind of thriller. But I really think I might start watching Daisy Jones and the Six, just because so many people have been like, you've got to watch this show. The show is so good. And somebody commented on my video and they said the first 3 episodes were kind of like a teaser to get you to the point of the climax. So you have to watch the first 3 episodes. That's why they put it out. Which, like, with almost all of these shows and all the channels, they always put out 3 episodes first. So I don't know if that's necessarily the case. But I thought, because they said this, if after the 3rd episode it's kind of like the climax of the show, then, but I don't, like, having read the book, there really was no climax in the book, like, ever. It just kind of was like, just kept on telling like the same story. So I don't know, like, but I'm gonna give it another chance because everybody loves it. Now this is what's gonna end up happening, okay? I'll start watching it tonight, and tomorrow when I'm vlogging, I'll be like, I am obsessed with Daisy Jones and the Six. Watch, I will say it, because since everybody is telling me how much they love it, I'll probably end up loving it, so. Oh well, it is what it is. I was just telling my neighbor across the street, because she was looking down at my weeds in my walkway, she was so nice. She weeded all of this for me when I was in the hospital. But I was looking down at it because we need to put mulch down. We haven't put mulch down in probably 2 years. And I said to her, I said, because we're not going to do it tomorrow, because I think, well, Alex's aunt's breakfast is at 8 in the morning or something, so we'll probably go to that if I end up getting up in time for it. So we're not going to go to the gardening store and do the yard tomorrow. Plus it's like super like muggy out. So I said, I think next weekend we'll weed this, and then because he'll have to get the mulch and bring it home, so we'll lay the mulch down next weekend, which that will be the end of getting the porch ready, and then I will do my video on my Peter Does Stuff channel showing the beautiful front porch for summer, which I'm excited about. We haven't started doing anything to the back porch yet. I need to like start cleaning it off, and I want to get some plants for out there. Maybe when Caroline and I hang out this week, I can go and get some plants. I want to do plants, not flowers, for the back patio. So it's like lush and green and things like that. Maybe like a fern or 2. Not tons, but you know, a few things. I love just listening to the sounds. I know that sounds so corny, but I do. I just love listening to the sounds of nature and just what's going on in the world. I honestly could just sit here and watch her garden, you guys, for like hours. And she's out there all the time, like for hours. And she's just like waters each little thing. She's got like a watering can. She uses her hose too, but like she's got this watering can for like the small things. And she's very meticulous about it. And then she like picks things, and then she like moves things. And I just love watching her. It's like so peaceful. And I think also just like, in that she loves it so much, and she's putting like so much love and passion into her garden. She loves seeing this stuff grow. She's got these big like pots that are on like these like stands kinds of things, but I can see a little bit of greenery in one of them, so like they must have just started to like grow. She gets a lot of stuff, like she doesn't get like the plants that I do that are like put together. She gets like smaller plants, and then she like puts them in the ground or puts them in a pot, and then like she puts them together and then they grow, you know what I mean? I'm like a phony plant owner. I go and buy the pots, and it's pretty. Well, she actually just told me today, she was like, this purple one I really, really like. I was like, yeah, that's one of my favorites too. I need to water them today. I think she was the one that told me that if you water plants at night, it's better for them than if you water them during the day. Or am I making that up? I feel like somebody told me that. I don't know. All right, well, I'm gonna go check on my husband and see what he's doing so I can hear him walking around inside. And I'm gonna get off here, so I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Saturday. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Remember these 3 very important things. 1, you can start your day over whenever you want. 2, practice random acts of kindness, but don't tell anyone. And 3, most importantly, make sure that you reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you. You might be changing their day for the better. You might be putting a smile on their face. You might be giving them hope, and you might just making them so much happier you don't know. And also, be kinder to one another, love one another a little bit more, and most importantly, be kinder and love yourselves a little bit more. And I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.